an explanation of the extent, if any, to which the child will not participate with non-disabled children in the regular class and in extracurricular and non-academic activities. The reason that you're required to be informed as to how much your child would be removed from the mainstream and not participating with non-disabled peers, students who do not have disabilities, is really because of one of the core tenets of the IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is the least restrictive environment provision, Julie. So LRE, as we call it, the least restrictive environment provision, is a whole other topic and one we've spoken about a lot. But basically, it is the cornerstone of the concept that when a child is identified as having a disability and requiring special education services, that doesn't mean we want to warehouse them and separate them from their community or from their school. And so for that reason, one of the requirements of what has to be in an IEP is actually the identification of how many hours, if any,
when and how
a child's going to be removed from the regular education environment.
Right, because unfortunately there was a day when kids with disabilities were removed from the regular education environment, perhaps to the extent that is no longer seen as acceptable or appropriate.
Right.
And so this is a very important provision that the federal statute identifies, that if a child is to be removed from the mainstream, let's understand the reasons, how it's going to be done, why it's going to be done.
Right. And, you know, it's important to remember it's not just removal from the regular classroom, it's also removal from any non-academic or extracurricular activities. Yeah. And this is one of those areas of the IEP and in special education in general when you're looking at that document where you have to be a little cautious, because what I've seen happen, Julie, is that the document may reflect time that you as a parent would not naturally think would be time that should be reflected in that category. So I'll give you an example. If a child is being taught in a special education class that is what I call an inclusion class, meaning that it's integrated, there are students in that class who are students who do not have IEPs, and there are students in that class who do have IEPs. And you see a lot of this at middle and high school level.
And they may be co-taught.
Co-taught, so meaning that there's a regular education teacher and a special education teacher teaching the class. Often, that many people in the community, including the parents, might think of that as a special education class. In fact, it may be considered a regular education class, and that time that the child is in that classroom may be reflected on the IEP as time that the child spends with non-disabled peers. And the parent may be thinking that's a special ed class, that's his special ed science, or that's his special ed English. You just have to ask questions at the meeting to understand exactly what it means.